Emery was asking, like, can you talk about the reasons why readings differ so much between astrologers, even amongst those who are based in a more evolutionary approach? The main thing I want to say about that is you're getting the consciousness of the reader, period. You're getting the consciousness of the reader. And so I think that there are many, many well-intentioned people that are doing astrology and they really want to help. But let's say, like right now, what we're doing in this course is rather unique. I mean, I doubt that I'm the only person in the world talking this way, but it's rather unique to find a course that connects astrology with divine order and surrender. But somebody else might be a very good astrologer technically, and they might say, no, it doesn't matter if you offer things to the divine. It doesn't matter. None of that matters. The chart is the chart. You can't affect it. And that's just coming out of the consciousness that they are in at this point. I wouldn't sit and argue with them, but I also for myself would not get a reading from them because it doesn't take me somewhere interesting that that kind of determinism, that idea that the chart is a fixed map that our own evolution can't impact. Doesn't go anywhere. So that's what I would just simply say is you're getting the combined history and evolution and training of that person, and don't dial down. If you need a reading where somebody is speaking from the highest level of evolution and you say the right reader for me is picked, you will get guided to that. You don't have to settle for something that limits you. One thing I just want to say this is, like, I think that I could probably go on for hours about what I think makes a good reading and a bad reading, and I don't want to dwell there, but I do want to say one more thing, is that I got a really good reading many years ago at Esalen. There was an astrologer there, and he said something to me. He looked at my chart and he said something like, the biggest thing that a reader can give is unconditional acceptance to the person they're reading. And I really thought about that's really what you're coming to feel. It's not just the information. It's that sense that when somebody can hold that state for you of they see you, they accept you, they even empathize. Sometimes I think with my own chart, I've got so many signatures of Saturnian, Plutonian, Uranian, Neptunian, that any chart that came, I could empathize with the nightmare that the person was going through because my own chart had some piece of that. And that's what I really think is that if you are giving readings or you're even doing it casually with friends, if you can enter that state of unconditional acceptance and empathy and pray before you give the reading to be of use and to never give a reading that harms somebody or leaves them with less hope, that is incredibly important. Yeah. One time I remember there were two different people that I got readings from, that both of whom have a presence on YouTube and were incredibly articulate and fabulous as YouTube presenters. And when it came down to read the readings themselves, they weren't. And so, you can have a lot of knowledge, technical knowledge, and it can even be dazzling and sort of flashy. And that doesn't mean that you're necessarily paying attention to being present with the person and giving them what they need. And so, what I think with that. But it's a great intention to hold, that if someone's entrusting you with the document of their soul, And it's a beautiful gift you can give somebody if you're willing to embrace that with them and come from a place of unconditional love and acceptance of them. It's, I think, one of the greatest gifts that you can give another person. All right, I just want to mention this one. It's from Maria. She was saying, when I was in my early 30s, I was told by an astrologer that I wasn't meant to be a mom and that it would be too hard for me. And that really affected me. And I just accepted that I wouldn't have kids. But recently I had a reading and the astrologer said that wasn't true. I actually had all the qualities of a good mom, but that it might come unconventionally, like through adoption. And now I'm kind of upset that, you know, I listened to the other astrologer and I'm 54 now and the options of being a human mom are more limited. Although now I finally do feel ready. So I'm really bothered that an astrologer would say something like that to me back then. You know, I hear you. And again, I mean, partly we've been talking about this idea of really watch out when any reader says, no, that will never happen. No, that's impossible, because often I think there's tremendous limitation in that approach. But also, if you're viewing it spiritually, maybe that person crossed your path because truthfully, you really were not meant to do it at a much younger age. And it really, now you're saying you finally are ready. So maybe it was the universe's way of keeping that from occurring back then. And now it is meant to happen in an unconventional way through adoption. You know what I mean? Like there's this level of, yes, I'm sorry it happened. And what if this was all part of the path because you finally are ready? And then you know this because an astrologer came along who was good and said, hey, you got a limited reading on this before.